So on the subject of EVs, yesterday a couple of my cars got picked up and sold them, and got some new ones, obviously. No EVs, obviously, because that'd just be stupid. I don't want to have a fire risk in my driveway. Anyway, so a couple of guys turned up from Mercedes. There was a manager and a couple of guys who drive the cars for him. Really nice guys, and I can talk for England, as you can tell. So we're on the driveway, we're chatting about cars, and there was one guy there who really liked his EVs, clearly. And, you know, sensible chap. He's obviously, you know, seen a lot of the world. He's an older chap, so he's very, very learned as such, but he's very much an EV person. I'm not. And he was picking up one of the cars was an S63, which is obviously a very, very fast, very, very capable car, a very nice car. And he started trying to tell me how, oh, well, you know, the electric one's brilliant. And I said, well, nah, not electric for me, mate, sorry. But I'm being diplomatic, you know. So anyway, he keeps on. And he said, oh, I bet you if you drove one, you'd want one. I said, tell you what, I bet you £100,000 I wouldn't. So, of course, he didn't take the bet. But that prompted me. I thought, okay, if you're going to push me, then that's okay. I'll have the conversation. I don't mind. So I then started talking about, you know, obviously the fact that you can buy a brand new EV cheaper than you can buy a year-old one, because there's so many on the marketplace. Dealers can't get rid of them, can't sell them, nobody wants them. So they're actually pre-registering new cars and selling them at a massive discount. You know, they're desperate to get rid of these damn things, and because of the mandates, they've got to, so they've got no choice. They either lose money at the front end or they lose money at the back end. One or the other, it doesn't make any difference. So as a result, the EV market is absolutely terrible. For anybody who wants to argue with that, go and have a look at the values. You can find brand new EVs with 40, 50, 60% discounts. Brand new, no miles on the clock, brand new EVs. You can buy supposed year-old cars, 2-year-old cars with 2, 3, 4, 5 owners and 10 miles on the clock. You don't get 2 owners with 10 miles on the clock, let alone 4 or 5. Just go into Auto Trader, search cars less than 100 miles within 2 years old, electric. There's hundreds of them. And that means that's the cars they've pre-registered, because if they didn't register some cars, the manufacturer gets their fine at the end of the year for not having sold enough on this bloody bullshit mandate they've got. So therefore there's thousands of them out there. And because if you can get a new car for the same price as a second-hand car, you're not going to buy a second-hand car, you're going to buy a new one, aren't you? Let's face it, who wants a second-hand battery? If I turn around to you and said, look, I got this iPhone, it's only 2 years old, works perfectly, but it's 800 quid, or do you want to give me 850 for a brand new one? You're going to pay the 850. You ain't going to pay the 800 for a second-hand one. Why would you? That'd be bloody stupid. And that's what's happening in the EV market. So anyway, so we're chatting away. And we cottoned on to something really, just by accident, because I'm chatting to this sales manager and we're going through things. And the guy in charge is someone who's reasonably, you know, high up in this manufacturer. And so he said, you know, it is a bit weird that with EV adoption, there is a very big pattern, very marked pattern of people who go EV, buy an EV, and very, very quickly they're trying to move it on, sell it, get out of it, get another car. Normally, they want an ICE car back, petrol or diesel. And he said, you know, it is quite a problem that they're facing. You know, the manufacturers are not doing very well with that. So I said, well, look, what you really need to do, there are undoubtedly people for whom EVs are a good thing. You know, if they can charge it at home, they're not doing any motorway runs, they're just pottering around. You retired people maybe. Yeah, EV, not a problem. I mean, as long as you can get over the fire risk and the depreciation issues, but as a car, it suits some people, but it won't suit your average person or your sales rep who's around a country, or a tradesman who's trying to, you know, go and do multiple jobs during a day. You know, the new electric vans, they got a range unladen of 90 miles. Imagine once they got all their tools in them, you know, 40, 50 miles, or if it's cold, or if they want the radio on as well. So were there, and I said, look, what you need to do if you're going to sell EVs, the best way to do it really is to have some longer term demonstrators. So instead of having a little test drive of 5 minutes up and down the road, anyone likes a shiny car. And if you've got a electric car that's a bit quicker than the normal diesel cars that these guys are driving, yeah, no wonder. I mean, they get in the car, they're impressed, and they're signed on the dotted line, same as anybody else would. But it's the living with it that the EV has to be suitable. So what you got to do is do a week or a week and a half or 2 weeks of demonstration. You drive the demonstrator for a week or two to get used to it, to get used to being what having an EV means. What happens when it's run out of charge and you need to get to the shop urgent? Can you cope? Can you plug it in on your driveway safely? Can you charge it up? How long does it take to charge it up overnight? Does it fully charge overnight or not? Because some of them don't. You know, or if you're going to do motorway runs, can you make it work? Can you live with having to stop at a service station every 150, 200 miles, whatever, and stand there for an hour while you have a cup of coffee? Sometimes it's 2 hours or 3 hours, depending on how many people are on the other chargers. You know, are you the sort of person? I'm not. At the end of the day, for me, I can stand there and chat to people all day, so it probably make no difference. But, you know, most people don't want to sit there. Most people don't want to stop and have a cup of coffee. You know, I'm a person who, doesn't matter how far I'm trying to drive, I try and do it in one, because I hate stopping. Because all the people I've overtaken on the way to get to the service station, I stop, and then they all overtake me again, and I got to overtake the same bloody people. And that annoys me. I know it's stupid, but it annoys me. I get really irate. I just want to get on. I just want to keep driving. I want to get to my destination. I don't want to stop. So I fill up your petrol day before normally, so I'm ready to go, and I want to go there and back. I don't want to stop about. You know, if I'm going on holiday, I want to drive to Heathrow and still have enough fuel that I can park the car, leave it in the valet. When I come out the airport, car's there, I can drive straight home and I can get home, and I haven't got to stop anywhere. I don't want to stop for coffee. I don't want to stop for a Greggs. I don't want to stop for McDonald's. I can hate all that crap. I just want to get home, because normally for me, I'm desperate. I want to get back to work. I want to check the post. I want to see my dog. I want to do stuff, you know. He misses me as well. He's asleep here now, but but that's the thing, you know. So if you let people have a week's trial, maybe then they can sort of live with it. Now, of course, that'll mean that they'll probably sell even less than they do now, because a lot of those people will find that the cars are not what suits them. But at least they won't have the ones bouncing back. At least those won't come back. Whereas if you're selling stuff, I mean, you've got to have a duty of care to people at the end of the day. If someone's going to spend 10, 20, 30, 40, 100 grand on an EV, going directly from a petrol or diesel car to an EV thinking it's the best thing since sliced bread, and they get in that thing, and suddenly after they've had it for a couple of days, they realise, shit, yeah, it might be shiny, but it's a load of shit. They're not going to want the car. B, they're going to hate you for selling it to them, surely. And when you take it back and they say, oh, you know, I bought this car the other day, I paid 35 grand, but I don't really like it. Do you mind if I have a petrol one? Got one over there, he's 35 grand as well. I could have that one. And you say, well, you have to give us 20 grand with that because your car's worth 10. Ain't going to go down very well, is it? Because that's the thing. The depreciation on is so much that it's such a big risk to go to EV without really knowing if you can live with it, and really, really knowing. That's where a major problem comes from a person point of view, from a customer point of view. You know, from a manufacturer point of view, though, they just don't make any sense whatsoever. It's going backwards. You know, when cars first came along, you know, petrol and diesel cars first came along, they replaced the horse, and clearly there were advantages over the horse for most people. There's still some people that stayed with horses, weren't there? But a lot of people wanted the extra freedom of the car. They didn't want to look after a horse, didn't want to feed it, didn't want to keep it somewhere, didn't want to look after it, didn't want the vet bills and the rest of it. They had a car instead, and petrol at the time was cheap. Not like nowadays when all Star was trying to rip us all off. But the car took over because it was more convenient, more independence. carried its own fuel cell. Fantastic. EVs are going backwards. Now you're going to be tied to a charging station somewhere on the line. You can't go very many miles. It gets less efficient in the cold. It gets less efficient. You put your aircon on. How many EVs you see travelling at 90 mile an hour on the motorway? You'll see me. You'll see everybody else driving at 85, 90 mile an hour on the motorway, flying down the motorway, not a care in the world, because we know the petrol tank will get us 400 or 500 miles at a steady 80 mile an hour. So off we go. We shoot down the motorway normal. Most EVs you see, I've noticed it myself. If you pass the EV, you barely see them. But when you do, 9 out of 10, they're drafting behind HGVs, trying to eke out a few extra kilometres out of their their electric charge. They can't afford to put their foot down. If they put their foot down, they won't get where they're going. They've got to try and drift their way along, a freewheel and all the rest of it. They're not. It's terrible. They've got no aircon on, no radio on. They can't have the heater on in the cold. They try and not put the wipers on if they can help it. Because every time they use the electric, they're damaging the range of their vehicle. And the range, I mean, I've talked to some people. They lose 40% of range on some of these cars just when it's cold. 40%. So if the car did 150 miles on a full range, if you drive it normally, then what are you left with? 90? 85, something like that? I mean, that's not many miles. That's not even here to Exeter. I mean, that's just crazy. How can you live with a car that does that? And once you've got to Exeter, you've got to then charge it up for, a minimum, half an hour, 3/4 an hour to fill it up, because you need a full charge to get back. And a lot of them are limited. You're not supposed to charge them over 80%, and you're not supposed to let them drop below 20%. So even if your range overall is 90 miles, no, it ain't really, because you've now got to knock off the bit you can't charge and the bit you can't drop below. No, they're very bad, very, very ridiculous. And the Chinese ones, not being funny, anything that says made in China on it, their standards are not the same as ours. Their electrical standards are pretty poor. I mean, why do you think Customs and Excise raid all these places where they sell dodgy chargers and everything else? You'd sell you get an iPhone charger from iPhone is £20. Get a Chinese one from one of these little shops for £4.50 or whatever. Why do you think they're £4.50? It's because they're made badly. They're made shit. They're made by kids on slave wages, but they're made crap. They haven't got earth in them, or they've got wrong wires, or the wires melt. They're crap. They just burn them. They don't even keep them. They take the stock and they burn it. They destroy it because it's too unsafe. You could burn your house down, saving a £5. It's ridiculous. So anyway, there we go. That's my EV thing.